And here they are. As mentioned, for anyone not too familiar with Labrynth, it's essentially a trap deck, we can say. Herman is running just 5 monsters outside of the traps. And as you can see here, he already starts by setting 3 face-down trap cards. He's playing Shifter in the main deck, so we could see that, and his opponent Anastasios is on Tearlaments, so I would say this is the best matchup for Herman. It is what basically he thinks is the way that this deck is gonna beat the competition.
Yeah,
so.
and I also think that playing against this kind of Tearlaments and all this format, like we have seen so far this weekend that players are not super prepared to play against this kind of deck, no?
No, absolutely.
They don't have Twin Twister, Lightning Storms in their side decks, and this is one of the main reasons why Herman most likely is on a 7-1 record, and I think it's really paying off, especially because I think that the Labrynth deck, besides having a very good consistency, I think also the boss monsters of the deck are very impactful.
Yeah, and also an interesting thing is that in the past we saw people at least siding copies of Lightning Storm or RP Feather Duster. Now the trend has switched with Triple Tactic Thrust in just playing 1 copy of those cards. But if you play 1 copy and Herman doesn't activate the monster effect, then you're in trouble. Exactly. But unfortunately there is no Shifter, which means that Anastasios is getting a lot of advantage down. He is playing a lot of really annoying trap cards, and here we see the first main deck barrier. This is not something you see every day, and yeah, you can see Anastasios being quite annoyed by this powerful trap card. Usually what you see in the side deck, but it is here in the main deck for Herman, and you can't blame him.
Yeah, and I think also here Anastasios realizes that basically Herman is on something quite different than the other room players are.
At the same time, I gotta say, opening Tearlaments is huge, because as you can see already, he did mill 1 of the Shufflers, which means he can turn the Tearlaments into a card that destroys some of Herman's resources, which is huge. And yeah, he mills yet another one. So this is still, I think, looking promising at the moment for Anastasios. Herman really needs to pick up one of his welcome Labrynth cards.
Yeah, because here basically if Herman doesn't have a copy of one of his welcome Labrynth card, that might be in trouble, especially because like he passes with 2 cards in hand, which maybe is might be holding a couple of monsters, but
and here we see the Rhino Art being summoned. He most likely will activate its effect just to get another target in the graveyard for Tearlaments, I would say. It would make sense, but I think Anastasios didn't go for it, which is surprising to me. I think it would have been much better to just send anything. But now we see
something being revealed by Herman. We can't quite tell, and there's the Herald of the Orange Light being activated.
This is huge. We have seen how good Herald is. Wow.
There was the Lady Labrynth being activated by Herman, but once again, as we saw yesterday, the Herald of the Orange Light is making the difference when needed.
Yeah, that's so strong. The Herald of the Orange Light, one of some players this weekend decided not to use it at all. Anastasios and a few other are, and I think it's paying off. I think it's a great addition to the deck. You just have to play it, it stops so much, and you can see here just how it makes a difference, because the Lady was enough to just completely seal this turn. Yeah, this is very unfortunate for Herman, who now needs to pick up something off the top. At the same time, Anastasios didn't go for an XYZ before, which could have turned this into a Zeus. So interesting. I obviously really experienced player, but maybe he hasn't played that much against Labrynth, I would say.
Yeah, because I mean the Time Thief Redoer, it's kind of okay, I would say, and you are most likely, to get to attach a trap card, given the amount of Herman is playing.
Yeah, and when you do, it's huge.
Yeah,
because it basically turns it into a Phoenix Wingwing Blast alongside being able to fusion summon. So, as mentioned, I still see this as really favorable. And now he will probably use, as mentioned, the Tearlaments just to pop a card. Let's see. Seems like it's gonna shuffle 3, as mentioned. Yeah, the Tearlaments Kashtira and a Terraforming just in case his Tearlaments is destroyed. So in the end, he had enough not to have to send a card by the Rhino Heart, but here, let's see which one he hits. Okay, not the greatest, but at least the big welcome Labrynth finally having an appearance. So this will allow Herman to pretty much recover a card back to his hand, because it summons and then you get it back to the hand. But this is still really strong for Herman. Yeah, he's explaining it to his opponent. Because it has two really useful effects. As mentioned, the first one, essentially you just summon and get back to the hand. But then you can banish it from the graveyard, and depending whether you have a level 8, you can return a card from the field to your hand or to your opponent's hands. So it turns it into a really annoying resource once you get to the ladies. Herman, of course, playing a lot of continuous drop cards as well. He is maining 3 copies of Gozen Match and Skill Drain. So definitely not a deck you want to play against, I would say, for our competitors here.
Yeah, especially because I think we saw Dimensional Barrier being played yesterday only by Sonny, as far as we saw. It's not so popular, and I think still
in the side
very
deck
impactful.
even.
Yeah.
In the main deck, I think Herman might be one of the, if not the only duelist this week in doing that. But yeah. Oh, and that is so unlucky by Anastasios. A deck that is made of basically 25, if not more, trap cards, and he reveals a monster. Wow. That's really unfortunate for the Greek player. I mean, not the end of the world, but yeah, it's still really, really unlucky. At the same time, though, you take away a one-off from your opponent deck. And now, as mentioned, he got to get to the Arianna, which means he will draw a card now. Let's see. He can add one to his hand, and then, as mentioned, you can easily get to draw a card once you activate a trap card like Compulsory or some of the other ones. And now, yeah, let's see what he wants to add from the deck. The lady has been taken away, so I think he will get just another copy of the Big Welcome, it seems like. Or is it? Yeah. It looked like it was another Big Welcome. I like Herman deck, honestly. And even here, the one Herald is obviously a punishment.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if that wasn't there. I think this game was already over.
Yeah, because basically once you got on the field, the Lady Labrynth, it's very hard to get through that. And
yeah, and you have all these trap cards, which, as we mentioned, people are not prepared for.
No, exactly. That's the main point. I think also that this deck is so good during this weekend, because basically most of our players are just, playing tech cards such as, Book of Eclipse, Dark Ruler No More, all these cards, very impactful against Kashtira or Nibiru, for example. And by not having Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclones, and Lightning Storms, here I really want to see, after side decking, what is going to happen. Because now here, with the trap being in the graveyard, basically Herman... Oh, okay, there's also the Compulsory. Wow.
And there is Compulsory, so this is huge. He will get to draw a card. So much advantage. So as mentioned, he can use the Big Welcome Labrynth to spin a card back, forcing the Time Thief, and then he's gonna chain these effects to get so much advantage. I think this might have been a small misstep by Anastasios, which isn't that experienced, because he could have used the Shuffler to shuffle back the Big Welcome when he couldn't really activate.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, a little bit of a misstep here by the Greek player, I want to say, but can you really blame him? This deck is not something you're that familiar with. And as we mentioned, that's just Herman's strategy every time. Last time we have seen him, he was in top 16 of YCS Tournament playing Madolce.
Yeah.
So, like, not a surprise that he has brought once again a deck that not most of the field will be comfortable with.
No, we really have to give credit to him, honestly, because he always finds a way, to face these, the competitive decks with a deck that is as competitive as all the other ones. So
absolutely. Okay, and now At least he's trying to fight back, he's gonna mill a few cards, and he hits, to be fair, both a Scream and an Avnis, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like his opponent has any form of answer. So we'll probably see a Soliek plus Kit Kalos here. Is debating which to send back. Once again, Photon Hypernova giving the Tearlament deck the Tearlament Kashtira, which is such a great card. Anastasios is playing the whole 3 copies of the card. I think it makes sense. We have seen everyone run at least 2, but 3 I think can be correct. It is both kind of bestial cards, it's an extender, it does so much for the deck.
Yeah, it gives a lot of consistency, honestly. Yeah. And as we saw in this situation, if he didn't have it, maybe this game would have been sealed, because with the Metaverse, Herman is able to bring on the field the Necro Valley. And here we're seeing that basically Anastas...
yeah, instead he will be able to fight back, summon a Kaleido Art, and just improvise whatever he can to stay in this game, and the situation is not even that bad at the moment. Yeah. And here it is, so he goes for the Kaleido, allowing him to send back. He's gonna think about what he can do, because that cannot be targeted. He already used. Let's see. He's thinking about his chain links. And yeah, he cannot target the lady, therefore he will get rid of both the Metaverse and the Arianna, leaving Herman in a not really comfortable spot.
Yeah, we have to say that in Blink of an Eye, basically, just with the Kashtira, I was able to come back, but the Pot of Prosperity now being activated by Herman gives him some hope. What are you looking for now, honestly?
It's tough, because as mentioned, you really need something to shut down your opponent, maybe one of the trap cards. This doesn't seem like it's that great. Yep. Interesting decision. The first 3 are obviously a no-go.
Yeah.
The rest is all decent, I would say, at best. Nothing too special. Because Barrier gives you time, but not that much. And yeah, might be Metaverse, just to take as much time as possible here. But if there is another shuffler in the graveyard from Anastas, which I think there is, you can just destroy the Necro Valley as soon as it's the field. Let's see. Definitely tough spot for Herman. It looked as if he was in a better situation, but let's see if he's gonna use it right away. Okay, no, yeah,
okay.
as we knew, he's gonna. He had the. We know every card. He had the Big Welcome Labrynth, and he had the Necro Valley option. So, of course, with Mystic Mine gone, Metaverse came back to free, and it's nice to see Herman finding a way for that trap card to still shine.
Oh, but we said that this deck is very, very consistent, honestly, and with all the trap cards being played by Herman, such as Kill Drains, Dimensional Barrier, basically you're able to stop your opponent's strategy entirely. Also with Gods of Match, which I really like. And either going first or second, the deck has a lot of different options, and we'll check them out later on.
Yeah. And here he's gonna go and grab a compulsory. So, returning the lady to the end and summoning the lovely Labrynth of the Silver Castle, which is the other one-off in his deck. Anastasios is gonna take a look at it. It's definitely quite annoying because it has multiple effects. First of all, your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to your normal trap cards. At the moment, of course, the other effects are not really useful, but if another monster leaves the field by your normal trap, you can destroy a card. So it's definitely up there, and the Big Welcome Labrynth, as we mentioned, has another effect, which is you can banish it to pop a card. So it will be able to deal with some of the situation from Anastas at least. And as we know, there is now an active Necro Valley.
Yeah.
Because the Perle Rhino is not there, so I think we will see that with Metaverse. Yep, makes sense. Well played by Herman, recognizing his position. And now, as we mentioned, Metaverse is just gonna bring one of the we can see the real, the OG annoying field spell, which is Necro Valley. And there it is. We have seen multiple decks, even at YCS Dortmund, such as the Pendulum from Federico Megozzi, using Necro Valley as a way to shut down Tears. And now it is once again here, but with the Labrynth deck. But compared to the past, where Mystic Mine was really popular, as we mentioned, the outs to this kind of cards have been dropped significantly. And actually, I'm surprised that Anastas is even playing one in the side deck, which is the quick spell from Tears, which is the Heartbeat, because most tier decks don't even play the one copy of Heartbeat anymore.
Yeah. That was interesting. Also, looking at his side, like he has some options that other players are not playing this weekend, and I mean, overall, I think this list is pretty solid. But as you said, maybe if you're not experienced playing against a certain kind of deck, such as Labrynth, this might be, you know, not helpful for you. But we'll see if he finds his way to seal this game one. I think he has the triple tactic talent in his hand.
Yeah, he might just try and go for a push, you know, just going all in. We have seen now, as you can see here, looking at the BLS in his extra deck, one of the few, if not the only player using it. And you can see here maybe finding it and being like, what, did I really put this card in my deck? Okay, might as well use it now that it's there. Really interesting to why he decided to play such a card. Probably for the multiple copies of talent to just take away a monster from your opponent, but definitely not. Yeah, you can see Herman being confused about what's going on. And yeah, there is the BLS, which is really not something you see every day. And could be a really good way to deal with this. Wow.
And he did.
Yeah, because just like BLS, it has quite a few annoying effects. He can get rid of the Necro Valley now. So let's see if he will activate it. Unfortunately, he cannot attack right now. So if you choose to attack, he can attack twice the next turn, which is much slower. But you can banish a card, for example. He's really thinking about which to get rid of. And it makes sense, yeah. But in the end, he gets rid of Necro Valley and swings directly, leaving just 100 life points for Herman. Honestly, what a punish.
Yeah, I mean, this Blackluster Soldier, honestly,
yeah,
not expected.
No,
but
I'm really confused as to why it's there, but Herman getting punished by it. What can you say? So now Anastas will activate its effect, just sending back the big welcome Labrynth and debating whether to send back the other two monsters as well. And he will. Makes sense. Gonna get rid of everything in the grave from Herman, which leaves him top decking with just the lady in his hand, I believe. And he will now summon it. Let's see. Gonna draw a card, sets it, and activate now the compulsory, which gonna get a Sully exchanged, which is gonna require some thinking from Herman, but yeah, as you can see here, he couldn't target, so let's see. Still in a really good spot, I would say, because you cannot target it while you control a set card.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see here, I mean, the Salek can be flipped, but not really activate its effects. So still a really comfortable spot by Herman. As you can see, can just search copies of cards like Compulsory from his deck. At the same time, the Luster is not the easiest card to deal with.
And I think Herman as well, that knows the game very well. I think that he might be finding a hard time dealing with the Black Luster Soldier, which I don't think he was really expecting at all. So it's just going, I think, maybe for setting the dimensional barrier or something else if it really feels like. Let's see.
Yeah, he has an interesting card, which is Terrors of the Overroot, which essentially allows you to get rid of a monster your opponent has, and then set a different one, or a different card rather, from the graveyard, which is definitely an unusual one, but I think he got another big welcome, maybe?
Yeah, he did.
So now he switches his lady to attack position and just gonna crash. So comfortable spot, well played by both, but Herman now once again in the advantage. But yeah, here Anastas recognizes his situation. He is like, I really need to top deck something good. Might as well shuffle back my Perle Rhinos alongside a Tearlaments Kashtira. And it has already pretty much been half the time we have for this match, and we are still in game one.
This is getting very tough, honestly, yeah. And the more you play, the more the time passes. And let's see if Anastas here
and
finds...
he picks up the Perle Rhino. So I guess well played by him by shuffling them back, giving him the best chances to top deck one, and he's rewarded for it, which once again gives him a chance in this match. What a back and forth.
Yeah, I think this was one of the closest game we have seen so far this weekend, honestly.
Yeah, because sometimes you have these grind games in which the game takes 20 plus minutes, but it's always the same player who is winning. In this case, it's a real back and forth. But Herman is only on 600 life points. So we got to keep in mind that you can't really... Oof. And now, yeah, it's getting tougher for Herman for sure with this great of meals. But there is another barrier face down. Wow. You really cannot count Herman out of this. Yeah, so they are both gonna send the top 5 cards of their decks, but it now doesn't matter much what they send. So I would expect Anastas to maybe mill Herman even if he doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
Yeah. Aguido gonna just send the top 5 cards of their decks and then send 2 more. Because any shuffler is still really good because of the Perle Rhino. Yeah. So you'll take it and you can try to just win with this Merly, which would be funny enough, to be fair.
I don't think, though, that Anastas found any shuffler.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Mills will now try to win with the Merly. Is there any shuffle? Really, no shufflers at all?
No, I think he didn't mill any. That is very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's so unlucky, honestly. So unlucky. And it would have been enough to win the game. That's unbelievable. With 12 cards being sent from the top to the graveyard, and actually 3 more from the Merly. So 15 cards in total, and not a single shuffler is brutal by Anastas, who optimizes his chances of having a win and is now once again in a back and forth situation. Wow. With his back against the wall, Herman, just like a animal, he's trying to fight with all he has got to stay in this and claim the game 1 victory. And yeah, will now attack over the Merly, and once again this guy is playing on top deck mode.
And here it gets very tough for Anastas, honestly. Because Herman drew into another trap card, most likely. And we saw Perle Rhino being milled for Anastas the turn before, so he's left, I think, what did he draw?
Avnis. Yeah, with Avnis and Talent, you're really looking for something else. We know that the face down is the Saliek, which he cannot use on the lady as it cannot be targeted when there is a set card. And now Herman actually goes for the big welcome. Interesting. probably his opponent ended his turn, I want to guess.
Yeah, and a very interesting play, because basically you get to bounce back the Lady Labrynth, and then you set back the Welcome Labrynth, and then
you get it back again.
Yeah, this is a very nice move from him.
Nice played. You can see he's experienced with this deck, even though it's definitely not the most straightforward one. He even gets to set another dimensional barrier, and I think Anastasios will soon enough pick up his cards, as it is Herman who is, after a very well thought out game one, finding the way to seal this game and take it home. Now you get to set even another card with the lovely... And yeah, he gets one of the tech cards I was telling you guys about. As you can search easily for normal trap cards and you need some that gets rid of a monster. Herman thought that Terrors of the Overroot would have been a good one. Let's see these mills. Nothing. Complete whiff by Anastasios. So the only hope he had was hitting jackpot here. Unfortunately he didn't, and now this seems almost impossible. He needs to force out a talent, I would say, to then just try and win, just because of the 600 life points. But yeah, now he can at least activate the Saliek. Yeah, really debating what targets he even has left in his deck.
This is honestly, I think, one of the most complex games we've seen.
Is he playing 2 Kid Kalos, by the way?
Let's check. He plays 2. Yeah.
Okay, so he can still go for a Kid Kalos here if he feels like it. Let's see. Those go to the bottom of the deck. And yeah, he will now reveal information that he is playing double Kid Kalos. And so he will be able to use both and actually get rid of the Terrors face down. Interesting. Now we can probably access the Kaleido Heart, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
And really, really well played by the Anastasios. Yeah, honestly, what a match. Both on low life and fighting with their whole life.
Yeah, because once again, here comes the Kaleido Heart.
And this is a crucial decision. He gotta pick something to get rid of. And it's unfortunately a spell, I think. So he kind of missed the crucial one, but still really good chances to just try and attack over for game. Let's see. One last draw to pick it all, and it is Mudora, I believe.
Yeah,
So really close one. Gonna count these cards even to just see. I mean, it has been a long game, basically 30 minutes down the wire, and it's still game one. Both duelists super low on life. Let's see.
Because I think here Herman now has, we know Dimensional Barrier, right? Being set.
Yeah, we know Dimensional Barrier is there, and actually cards are picked up. Herman shakes his head, and he knew that he was just so close to winning this one.
But also,
what a start of day 2. Wow.
I don't know if Anastasios were expecting, honestly, to win at the point.
No way.
Because like, there was a moment in which there was only a Merle being face up on the field from him, and then Herman having the Lady Labrynth plus other 2 trap cards, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, what a game. We mentioned that these are different breed of players. Like, they are up here, they are among the best by far in Europe. If, honestly, it was just, based on results, credentials, they for sure would belong in the top 64 of YCS Lyon. To be fair, regardless of who of them loses, there is still a chance for both of them, so we might see both making it all the way to the top cut, but we might also see a draw in this one, because as mentioned, game 1 took 30 minutes, and this is always a consideration when you bring a deck like Herman's. it might shut down everyone, but then it takes a lot to win sometimes. And when you get to the side deck, for example, Herman is siding 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, which are amazing, but can you really side them in? We have seen yesterday duelists siding Scatter Shot when there were like 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
So you see that you don't really want to pay 4,000 life points right away if you then can't beat. And I would guess that, of course, Anastasios is playing something along the lines of Scatter Shot.
Yeah, indeed. He's playing it.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
And this can turn into definitely a game where Anastasios, worst case scenario, could lose game 2 and then just go first with few minutes remaining and go for a scatter shot play if there is no shifter by his opponent. But you can see here Herman was super quick on side decking, so our players are ready. Let's find out the winner of game 2. Looking at the side decks, we can tell you that, of course, it is Anastasios who is in trouble outside of time, because he is playing only 1 copy of Crime and Heartbeat, which are the only really useful cards for this matchup. The rest of his deck is really completely useless against what Herman is doing. And you can see why Herman is trying to play as fast as possible. Just setting up his field, and I see opening with the pot of duality. Let's see what he will reveal. Goes and match, big welcome and compulsory, and he gets the big welcome right away. So probably gonna set even 5 potentially. Let's see if he is afraid of Lightning Storm or evenly matched, or if he's just gonna go all in setting 5. He goes for a middle ground, setting 4 cards, and play is back to Anastasios. So who picks up a Kelbeck, can't quite figure out the rest outside of Merli, but probably has either a Soliek or a Crime and a spell. Let's see what that is.
It's also interesting enough, Anastasios is not side decking his Feather Duster, which...
he has Gamma, by the way.
Does he? Ah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, he's added in Gamma.
I mean, might as well if you have... It's better than a Bestial, I can...
Yeah, for sure, honestly.
Maybe, I guess. You have some application for Bestials, but of course Gamma could be decent. And again, Perle Rhino, best way to start. It's really important. We saw how in game 1 it was pretty much the only way how he was able to even steal a win at the end. Just turning this, but actually just gonna set 1 and pass. Interesting. Not even trying to go for Merli. Wow. And you can see Herman kind of confused by what's going on here. This might be because of the Gamma, to just try and prioritize it, but here we actually get to see another of the trap card, which is the Welcome Labrynth. So he has both the Welcome and the Big Welcome. Which is great. And now let's see if we will see the Gamma from Anastasios. I mean, you cannot really hold it for much longer. And we do get to see Psyframe Gamma. If Sight is one of my favorite side deck cards, I can tell you my favorite Entrap, it's definitely Gamma. And it's great to see some duelists still using it nowadays. It's especially in the side deck for going second. We have seen how it was able to steal the very first game against the Sprite of the whole YCS Lyon, when Susi used it against Giski Sprite. And it's definitely a really powerful option.
And now here plays back to Herman. Oh, okay, enters battle phase, attack.
Yeah, just want to make sure he's ahead on life, I guess. And now he will activate even a second one. Wow, we could see game here. If there is nothing from his opponent, this is enough to win the duel right away. I can tell you that. Because now he gets to see, and he goes for the big welcome, and this is enough to have game. This could be a super quick game shoot, and it is. Wow! So Herman OTKing with Labrynth, something that is rarely said, and it's probably gonna not come out anymore out of my mouth. An OTK from Labrynth. Herman just keeps on giving us a show. And just when we were worrying about time, this is where Herman really pushed on the accelerator and gave it his all. And now it's interesting because there are around 9.5 minutes remaining. You probably still side in the scatter shot if you're Anastas, but it's not going to be enough to win.
No.
So you're going to take some chances. At the same time, it's true that Herman just OTK'd, but he went first. When you go second, you essentially need another turn to activate those trap cards, which makes the scatter shot still a solid choice. Because essentially you go first, unless there is a shifter, you get to combo off, which takes a while if you have a good hand, and then you scatter shot, you pass, and then they have to go through their turn setting traps, and then you have a whole new turn, which I think is probably what's going to be the strategy from Anastas. But if we see a shifter, this could be over in the blink of an eye, so you never know. And regardless, I'm sure they will try their best to just give us a really good game free here. I think our players will be ready in a moment, and so we can just quickly go there and find out who will be the winner of round 9. And here they are. You can feel the tension in these players when they are looking for one last time of their decks. As mentioned, one of them will be advancing with an 8-1 record. Very solid chance of making it to the top cut. Pretty much guarantees with only an additional win. And this is really what matters. You also want to start the day on a good note. We know how it's important at the very beginning of day 2. It's a whole new day. My number one advice for new players going to these kind of events is to take a game at a time. And if that's hard to do, yesterday when you play the last round really late at night, it's really important to reset when you go into game 2, because that's actually really, really important. And as you can see here, 8 minutes remaining, and it is Anastas who will go first and try to set up his Tearlament board, setting up some side deck cards such as the Crime and the Heartbeat, which are gonna be useful against Herman's Labrynth deck.
And looks like that Anastas' hand is very nice. I saw a Perlereno, but also there's the Keldo discarding the Kel back, so very good start from him. Now he's going for the Agiro as well. And they're going to mill 5. Okay, we see also Ghost Winter Cherries being milled from Herman's side. Let's see Heartbeat being milled, the Crime, Merely. Not bad at all. Okay, and now he's going to use both of his effects.
Yeah, at the same time, you don't really want to see Heartbeat in the graveyard, but when you mill it alongside the trap card, it makes it much, much better. So now, as mentioned, you can get to a really good start already. It is really a card that we haven't seen much of. It was really popular as a out to Mystic Mine, but I do like the one-off, I would say. It's just a card that you can search, and there are still a few decks. We know a friend of ours who lost to Subterror last round of Swiss yesterday, so there are these decks which you really want to have an Heartbeat, especially when you're up in a field of 2,400 players. As we saw, 32% of the field was and is Tearlaments, but almost as much is made of other decks. So you never know what you're up against.
Ooh, here comes the scatter shot as well, being milled.
Yep. So scatter shot, so already making an appearance here with 5.5 minutes remaining. It is Herman who will have the pressure now to deal some damage to his opponent. And you can see being milled one of your favorite cards for this weekend, right? Which is the Winter Cherries from Herman.
I really like it, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's very powerful during this weekend, especially because you can go for it getting ring the Kit Kalos, or if you play against the Cash Tira, you have multiple options, honestly, and I think it was a very good choice.
Absolutely. We still were not able to see it in action. It was mostly being milled off, but we'll see one time when we get a player actually activating. I know there are a few, actually more than a few, I would say, pure Cash Tira decks which are actually maining it and are all either X1 or more at the top table. So it seems like it's definitely a strategy that's working. We'll try to get one of them on future when we can, to just see how Winter Cherries can be a good card in the main deck. But yeah, now we see what an opening from Anastasios. And here we get to search the crime if we haven't already. So, wow, what an opening.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, a very good start from him, especially because he milled, I think, both the Heartbeat and the Crime in the very first milled. And yeah, unfortunately for Herman, there was no Winter Cherries.
Or Shifter.
Yeah, or Shifter, yeah.
This is the risk of playing a deck like Herman's. When you go first, you're really in a comfortable spot, which I think will be the main concern thinking back on game one. You could see when he picked up his card that he was really disappointed by how he played it out. To us, honestly, it didn't seem that big of a mistake, but you know that when you're such a good player, you know really, you really notice every single thing, and you take it harder on yourself, I want to say. You're kind of tend to be a perfectionist, and this is exactly what went down. Here we see an amazing opening by Anastasios, just setting few cards, and play is back to Herman, who with 500 life points already down the line will have an hell of a job to come back into this. And let's see if Anastasios will pick up once again a monster, because that would be so unfortunate. Yep. Ooh, and still has not actually done with this. So gonna send some more shufflers, I think, and yeah, gonna take it to maybe summon an elf, or let's see. Goes for a dark, summon back. Yeah, he can summon back either the lady, and he does. What an opening.
Very, very nice here, honestly.
I would have liked Winter Cherries back and then a Black Rose with the Mad Dragon to just clear your own field. That could have been a nice combo Bernie.
You will be proud of.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, he passed.
Pass turn, and we start things off with Necro Valley. Here it is, one last turn probably for Herman to try and push this 500, but he cannot. He extends the handshake, and it is Anastasios who takes round 9.
Thank you very much, Marcello. I'm joined by Anastasios, who's just won our first round of today in round 9. So that's very exciting with your tier deck. Congratulations. Have you faced a Labrynth deck before?
Actually, last round yesterday I faced again a Labrynth deck, so yeah, I kinda knew the cards. I'm not fully aware of what all of them do, but since I played yesterday, I was kinda aware of what they're doing.
That's quite a good advantage then for today.
It was really important for me to win the dice roll, but I didn't make it, so that was kinda awkward for me. But I managed to win the game 1. I lost game 2 really quickly.
Really quickly.
Obliterated me. But game 3, I had all the advantage. If I open the field spell, the matchup is in favor of me, so.
Well, speaking of, let's go through some of that, because you're talking about game 1. There were a lot of interactions there. So for a start, immediately threw down Dimension Barrier on you. So that's already a slightly difficult moment. But then you used Herald of Orange Light on Lady Labrynth. So that was good. So in moments like that, despite there being a back and forth, how are you feeling in bits like that?
Actually, it was a great game 1 because we're going back and forth the whole time. As I mentioned earlier, the dice roll was really important because if I went first, Dimension Barrier wouldn't be that good. So winning the dice roll was huge for Herman at that point. But since I had the field spell game 1, we were able to interact in both turns, and it was in favor of me. I didn't play my best Yu-Gi-Oh, but at least luck maybe have been on my side with the meals, with the top decks and stuff. Because I top decked the second Perlerino. When I used my Keldo to shuffle back my 2 Perlerinos back into the deck, I top decked it, so it was really important at that moment.
It was, and there were so many other moments as well where it just kept kind of, I mean, you had to deal with the Necro Valley and things like that throughout game one. It ended up being quite a big moment where you went from sort of like 8,000 life points all the way down to 400, and then just ended up sort of, we moved into game two, which, like you said, just went very, very quickly. So when a game two happens like that, are you nervous for game three, or are you thinking, no, don't worry, I still know my deck, I'm confident we can do game three?
You know what? Because I was to go first in the game three, I was kind of confident because, like, I know that if I go first, I can set up my board. I had Redoer, which is really great against Labrynth. Like, most of the times, even though I hit a Lady Labrynth and not a trap, most of the times you should hit a trap against that deck. So it would be really good if I had that Redoer. I was only afraid of casuals as Lava Golem over the Winged Sphere Dragon of Ra. But other than that, I felt really confident going first. I didn't have any issue. I was really afraid of the first game where I lost the dice. Rather than in the third game, I was really confident that I would make it.
And then third game was sort of having to build quite a big field, and then that scatter shot just for that extra little bit of damage, which we've seen quite a lot in some of the tier decks. But congratulations, a good win, taking the first win of today. You're now X1, aren't you? That's pretty good. So are there any decks that you're slightly anxious about going up against in the remainder of Swiss?
I'm afraid of losing the dice roll to Castira, but it's okay. We have a side deck, we are ready for everything, and everything will work out.
That's a great way of looking at it, a positive outlook. Well, congratulations. And guys, don't go anywhere because we're going to move into round 10 very soon once we've sorted out our top 256 cut. Don't go anywhere.